Xavier Catholic Education Trust. That's made up of 15 schools in Surrey, 3 of which are secondary comprehensive schools. How different were your awarded grades to your predicted grades?
Sound up a bit now.
Overall, about 20%. What I think the government needs to remember, that at the centre of this are actual children. These students are the students that didn't get to sit the exams that they've worked so hard for, and they didn't get to take part in all those events that mark the end of their school life, like their prom and saying goodbye to their friends and everything. And it's really not good enough to say, well, it's okay because lots of people are going to university. If you worked really hard and your teacher tells you you're going to get 3 A's, and then you open up a big piece of paper and the formula says you got 3 B's instead, or even worse, you're meant to get 3 D's and the formula says that you've failed an exam that you didn't even sit. We all remember our A-level results forever. And I think it's so important that we treat these children properly and give them the grades that they really deserve. And at the moment, it's just such a shambles, isn't it? So I'd call on the government to do the right thing. And where a school's centre assessment grades is broadly in line with previous performance, then award them the grades. And if there's a big discrepancy, then ask for a bit more information.
Do you understand why the algorithm would have marked down, though, your education trust based on historical exam marks there?
Yes, I do.
And can you just explain that then for our viewers? Because that is key. I think a lot of people aren't clear about why the algorithm was designed in that way.
Okay, so what's happened is, if you've got small A-level groups, which a lot of private schools have, and a lot of small sixth forms have, then the central assessment grades were awarded, because statistically it wouldn't have been fair to use the algorithm. Also, if you're a new school, and it's your sixth form for the first time, you've got no history. So in those schools as well, the central assessment grades have been awarded. Then in order to keep the normal distribution curve, that means that the rest of us have had our grades downgraded in order to maintain the numbers across the whole system, and that's why it's unfair.
And some would say that that is actually cementing structural inequality in an institution. So all this idea about sort of social mobility or educational mobility through exam and academic attainment is questionable like that. On the point of grade inflation, though, do you accept that Ofqual has a responsibility as a government body, as an independent body, in fact, to stop grade inflation? And if you look at the Scottish model, for example, just a few weeks ago, I think their highest pass rate was 89% this year, as opposed to 79% last year. I mean, is that an acceptable outcome or consequence of this, do you think?
But what they mustn't do is take the sledgehammer to crack the nut. There are only 5,000 secondary schools. How difficult is it just to look at these centre assessed grades, look at the school's history, and the great majority of them will be aligned. And if they're different, do the investigation with those schools. Don't punish all of the students across the country. So 40% of all the grades went down.
So teachers' predictions, is that the sensible, simplest way forward now?
Yes, except if there's a huge disparity, and then Ofqual needs to do a bit more digging. If there's a huge disparity between the grades, that the centre assessed grades, then they should do, and the school's history, they should do a bit more digging. But that is for a very small minority of schools. And for the rest of us, give the students the grades that they deserve and the grades that they should have.
Okay, Annie Magill, thank you very much indeed for joining us here. So, what did you say?
Can I just say something else? Because there is a wider issue here. That, because the reality is, in 2 weeks' time, we're preparing to have all of the students back. Teachers and support staff have worked so hard in keeping schools open throughout COVID. And now we have 82 different sets of guidance. And we're trying to do the right thing for children, so we need a leadership that we can believe in, and heads have lost confidence in the current leadership.
All right, okay, and we've got GCSE results to come this Thursday as well, so it's only going to get more complicated. Annie Magill, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, search.